Guys, it's 2022, and it is finally time to upgrade your wallet. Our friends at Ridge are here to help you step up your pocket game. This incredible wallet is light, sleek, and industrial, and it doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge out of your back pocket. It goes into your front pocket. Ridge wallets hold up to 12 cards, plus all the cash you need. You can choose from over 30 colors and styles. That includes carbon fiber and burnt titanium. It is the best wallet you can buy, and you're not just taking my word for it. There's over 30,000 five-star reviews. I was skeptical at first, but once I tried it, I never went back, and neither will you. Guys, there's no pressure. Test it out for 45 days. If you don't love it, send it back, get a full refund. If you decide to keep it, there is a lifetime warranty. Go to ridge.com/Chael, or just click the link in the description below to get 10% off with free worldwide shipping and returns. That's ridge.com/Chael. Save 10% right now. Let's rethink this. Francis, Ciryl. Where should we begin? Because everything is so obvious once it's over. Everything just becomes so clear. Oh, I should have done this, right? It's like a roulette. It's red or black. You're sure it's going to be black. You put your chips there. It comes up red 3 times in a row. You go, how did I not know that? All right. But what did we learn? What did we learn about this? Because this moves in so many different directions. Going into this fight was a very beautiful thing with a lot of opportunity coming out the back end. Not just the unification. Not just what should have been the most watched heavyweight fight of all time. You have Tyson Fury poking his nose into it. You have the story of the former training partners and the coach who brought this to all of our attentions. And how does that end? You have Dana White and Francis Ngannou at a bit of a standstill. What happens next? But you do have to look back, guys, because in all fairness, we said a lot of things about Francis Ngannou that we, as spectators, were sure we were right about. And we weren't. We were sure Francis Ngannou could not win a decision. DraftKings' single greatest odds as it related to this contest was for that. If Francis wins by decision, 25-1. To put that in perspective for you, if you bet $10,000, you would have won $250,000. It just simply wasn't supposed to happen, but none of us did bet it, did we? Not only did we not bet it, we don't know anybody that bet it. We haven't even heard a rumor of anybody that bet it. And whoever does come forward and claim that they're the one that did it will only hear after the fact because they never told anybody ahead of time, mostly because they didn't do it. We know that about Francis. We know that he can't win a decision because we know that he can't win the last round. He's too big, he's too strong, he's too powerful. He can't fight all night long. Not only can Francis not win the last round, he can't win the last rounds, plural. He can't win the 4th or the 5th round. We know these things. Francis has 2 ways to go. Knock him out quickly like he does to everybody else, or make sure that he wins the first 15 minutes. Because those last 10, he's got no chance, and we believed that. And we were wrong. We were wrong. If Francis is going to win, he has to win by knockout. More specifically, he has to win with a left or a right hand. We know that. We know he cannot take Ciryl down. As a matter of fact, he's never taken anybody down, never even tried. I'm talking about Francis here, but then you look at Ciryl, has never been taken down by anybody. Obviously, this fight doesn't go to the ground. We were wrong. We owe this to Francis, guys. We owe it to him to admit you just did some stuff that we were confident you could not do. He did win the last rounds. He did get the takedowns. He did stay on the ground. He did change his game plan. He did find a way to win a fight that had nothing to do with the punches or kicks. So he's owed something. But what is that? Right? What is that? Because if we were to look at this, we're going to go, that's not the way we wanted to see you fight. We were trying to juxtapose you, meaning Francis, with Tyson Fury. We were trying to juxtapose you, Francis' performance against Ciryl Gane, with that of you versus Jon Jones. So what was it that we learned? What we came away with? Most of the narrative and the belief, psychologically speaking, this is you guys, I'm guilty too. Let's just talk this thing out. Is that Francis disappointed us. Francis's hands were not good enough to go with Tyson Fury. Francis on his feet was not fast enough to deal with Jon Jones. But then he pulls out this other plan. And Francis has only been working on those takedowns for a brief period of time. Now, we're talking about a couple of years here, but Francis did learn his wrestling. I know the guy's in the room. I know the guy's working with him. He worked his wrestling from a defensive standpoint. One, how to get up off the bottom. Two, how to stop a guy from ever getting you there. And Francis showed us that with the hips, with the pummeling in, with the pressure that he was using on Stipe Miocic. So he showed us that he did get a little bit better there. But now he's showing us that he's also got the offense. And I'm not trying to make believe for you that this was some world-class takedowns, but he did take a guy down who none of us thought he would even try to take down. He got 3 takedowns. He only went for 3 takedowns. Don't forget that. Francis is batting a shutout here. Not one air ball. Went for 3 takedowns, got on top 3 times. Not for nothing, his ground and pound was terrible. His positioning was not. His positioning, where his hips were, it was pretty good. He knew what to do. When Ciryl sat back for that heel hook, by example, Francis's face was as straight as a guy playing poker holding a flush. He was not concerned. He knew that position. I gained a lot from that. Seeing that Francis knows where he is, as his leg isn't only manipulated, his knee is in play, and the heel is being twisted, and he was relaxed and knew where he was and even came out of that position. I mean, Francis did some stuff that we said he couldn't do. We owe Francis something for that. We do. What is it? I don't know. I don't know. But he's obviously worked hard. He's obviously got better. And I could compare that to Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya's first ever fight, which was against Marvin Vettori, made it very clear what the blueprint is to beat Adesanya. Get a hold of him, drag him down. He won't stop you from taking him down, and he has no chance to get up on the bottom. Israel Adesanya's very next fight, all of a sudden, he doesn't know how to get off the bottom. His fight after that, now he's in there with the best wrestler he's had, Derek Brunson. All of a sudden, you can't even get him down. A couple fights later, he's in there with the most decorated wrestler in the organization, Yoel Romero. No takedowns for Yoel. And if we are seeing these same games for Francis, you have to factor that in, guys. I have called Jon Jones's fights, just to bring Jon back in this, I have called his fights from the beginning. One thing that is challenging for me and the folks that I work with, whose job it is to analyze what Jon's doing, one thing that's very hard is Jon between fights is so drastically different. Jon Jones will come out with an attack that not only he has never done before, but the sport has never seen. Joe Rogan has a hard time telling the audience what Jon's doing because he just invented it in a main event in a world title fight against the second baddest guy alive. It's amazing. And I only bring that to you because if now Francis is adding elements, we don't fully know what to expect. It's very exciting for a guy when he is showing gains, when he's already got to the top, but he does not rest there. He continues to grow. You're talking about Shevchenko. You're talking about Jones. You're talking about Adesanya. You're talking about Nunes. There is not a whole lot of other people in the history of the sport you could add to that list. You get up to the peak of the mountain and you just wait. Let me hold my ground. Put my flag right here. Eventually somebody might pass me and that's going to be the end of my run. I submit for you that Francis has shown us that he has gotten better. You're still left with the same question. What does that mean moving forward? Is there anybody that's going to see Francis's fight think, yes, that guy should be in there with Tyson Fury? Because there was only one guy that I've heard from, and that happens to be Tyson Fury. The only person who's speaking about Francis and Tyson in this boxing match still to this day after what we saw is Tyson Fury. But so what? Very hard for us to say, Francis, you can't do that. And I'm talking about successfully. Can't go in there, can't compete, can't do anything under the most basic rule, which is to protect yourself at all times. I don't think we have the right anymore as a community to say, Francis, you can't do that, because we just did that to the son of a bitch 3 times, and we look foolish. Francis, you cannot win the 5th round. Francis, you cannot take anybody down. Right? Remember this guy? We just did this. Francis, you can't win unless you knock him out. We had all of those things wrong. And if Francis did show us anything in this fight, it's that he has evolved. Now, that evolution isn't high enough that now you can start talking about Francis and the takedowns and how much you have to worry when he's on top of you. However, that's never been the question as it pertains to Francis taking on Jon Jones. That has never been a question, can Francis take Jon down? The question, and the only question, is the same one that Francis had to answer the second time he competed with Stipe, is can Francis stop Jon from taking him down? So that's what I'm going to leave you with, guys. We will have plenty of time for Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. Maybe. Plenty of time should that come together. But that is the one thing that you should be asking. As you watch that fight and you are mentally comparing the two opponents, don't walk away saying, can Francis beat Jon? Break it down a little small. Don't come away saying, can Francis take Jon down? Break it down a little bit smaller to the single element that Francis went in his first day of wrestling to learn, which is to stop from himself being taken down. Did Francis show us enough in the wrestling to start to satisfy for you that he could keep a fight with Jon Jones on their feet? Leave it at that for now.